Welcome in, Big Ten backers. We got another Big Ten ass show for you. Hit those shares, hit those likes. Make sure you're hitting us in the comments. We're going to address every comment after every segment. But please, we need you.
What
Who's
up?
out there? We got something on.
What's up?
Hey,
Here we go.
here we go. Here we go. But anyways, man, first topic. We had a little voice audio we had to fix. But anyways, Kyle McCord on his way to Syracuse. What you got, B? What you got on this?
Hey, man, this all makes sense now. I told you before that his dad was a little worried about him going somewhere where there was going to be competition. Apparently, he was requesting weekly Zoom calls with the Coach Rule, and Coach Rule said, hell no, bro. Go somewhere else. So he did. And I think competition was a big part of it, too. I mean, Daddy wanted Baby Boy to start day one, and we told our listeners that he wouldn't commit to Nebraska if Royola was going there. If he was committing, that's too much competition. So guess where he goes? Syracuse. Guess what there isn't at Syracuse? Competition. They had a guy leaving, and there was a couple of guys that had a few throws here and there, a couple 100 yards in their career. So he's day one quarterback, and there's a new coach there. It was the DB coach for Georgia, I believe. He's trying to make a name for himself, so he's like, Daddy will do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, not only is there no quarterback there, no competition there, there's no NIL there. So when he went to ask for that raise from Ohio State after losing to Michigan, he goes to Syracuse to try to get the raise? What's going on with that? What you got, Jamie?
Yeah, no, I'm not really feeling this. I mean, as far as a competitive standpoint, like Buckeye Steve said, he left competition. He goes to Nebraska. Hey, he thinks he's got it in the bag. He sees Raiola coming. He realized that, maybe he's got 2 years left, and that first year might absolutely be his. But that second year, he takes any stumbles, anything, the fans are going to be calling to get rid of him, and he's scared of that competition. I think he can excel in a decent surrounding, but I don't know if Syracuse is that spot. There's no, like you said, no NIL money. I don't know really what they got around him right now, but I'm curious to see what he can do there.
Now, Brandon, you were talking about McCord potentially coming to Nebraska. He was crystal balled there. We were talking about Dylan Raiola coming in, him changing his mind. What's your thoughts on that?
I honestly don't know exactly what happened with the whole thing, other than the fact that I have some inside sources, not that I'm cool and all, that told me that Big Bad Daddy decided to intervene like he usually does with the whole rule thing. So there really wasn't much talk about it. Everybody's focus in Nebraska was on Dylan Raiola. And so when they were going on with the McCord thing, that was probably it started to end, I think, when he was leaning towards going somewhere else. I can't remember. Do you guys remember, besides Syracuse, if he was looking somewhere else? I can't off the top of my head think.
He kind of bounced around. I don't think there was anything serious.
Not a lot of people looking for him.
No. When you're
I
you bounce all the way down to Syracuse, that's a bad look.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on, boys. We got Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly has a new idea of what he wants to do with Division I football. Jamie, talk to me about this.
Man, Chip Kelly, from his days at Oregon, the way he came into the NFL, he's a smart dude, and now he's back at UCLA doing his thing. He spoke what a lot of people are thinking. He's not the first one to say it, but he definitely put it in a way that we could all understand the thoughts. So what he's talking about is we have all these conferences. You look at, is his case, UCLA. You look at Oregon, you look at Washington. These schools move all their sports programs to the Big Ten. In Arizona's case, in Cal's case and Stanford's case, they're moving to the ACC. So you're looking all East Coast over there. All their sports are having to play. You look at softball, you look at basketball, you look at the small sports like tennis. They're over there playing all the way across the country. And what his thought is trying to make every football program independent. And so that way they can choose the conference they go to, and it doesn't affect all the other sports that it currently is affecting. And we haven't even seen like the actual result of what's going to happen with all these sports that don't produce money, that are going to cost schools lots of money to travel. And that was one of them. He's talking about paying every player from the school, so that way we can eliminate some of this NIL stuff that is just, a little shady, a little bogus, out there. But there's a couple of thoughts in there. I know you got some. Beve, what are you thinking, boss?
He said a couple of things. All that stuff is fine and dandy, but it's like fantasy world stuff to me. The conferences own it. It's too late. There's nothing that's going to happen that's going to change that. The Big Ten owns the Big Ten, and Fox owns the Big Ten. ESPN owns the SEC and the ACC. Nothing's going to change from a conference standpoint. The conferences are only going to grow and absorb more from other conferences. What I think that he said that was a great point, though, is the other schools from the West Coast, they should have their other sports stay out west. I think that was a great idea. It might be a little too late for that now, but it makes sense economically. Maybe not for the Pac-12, but it makes sense for the schools in general. If you have volleyball staying within their region, if you have softball staying within their region, soccer, all those other sports, maybe you add basketball to that too. The revenue-producing sports that make money traveling instead of losing money traveling. That was the one point that really stood out to me. That was like, hey, that makes sense, and that's feasible at least. Everything else is controlled by money, and the conferences, the TV networks, they're not going to let that happen.
I mean, somebody wants a Christmas globe. Chip Kelly, he wants to shake that damn thing. He wants to disrupt football as we know it. I actually don't think it's a bad idea, but like Steve said, it's never going to happen. Too much control in these conferences, but it would be fun, man. You imagine everybody having kind of a Notre Dame type atmosphere where they're non.
I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it would be awesome. Every year is just chaos. Like, you don't know who you're going to play. You're going to play somebody else from anywhere. It'd be super fun, super interesting. Never going to happen. Too many locks and chains on these conferences. They control too much. But, man, that would be absolutely, absolutely fun. Let's hit a comment here real quick. Dustin says the Wolverines will be your national champs just to piss off college football. Brandon, what you got on that? What do you think about Dustin?
I like Michigan. I honestly think they're going to win the whole thing. I was picking Washington, to be honest with you. Sorry, Jamie, but I kind of changed my mind a little bit. I'm rooting for the bad guy, like I usually do in movies.
You like the villains, huh?
Yep, I love the villains.
And it always gets spoiled.
I can tell by the haircut.
Bane, buddy. I'm Bane.
All right, man, since we're talking to you, you're a Husker. We got Dylan Raiola headed to Nebraska, man. Talk to me about this one.
First and foremost, I'd like to read a little poetry from the man himself. So this is a poem that he actually tweeted out yesterday when announcing his commitment. In the realm of college dreams where purpose takes flight, entered Dylan Raiola crafting his narrative in the night. Once lured by Georgia, where powerhouse glory gleamed, yet Nebraska's purpose in his heart brightly beamed. In the scarlet and cream where legacies entwine, Dylan, like Rogers, Rozier, and Crouch, a hero in the line. No longer a cog in some powerhouse machine, but a quarterback with an even grander ambition unseen. So fellow fans await with hope in the air for Dylan to choose his purpose to declare. In a weekend's decision, destiny calls to fulfill his purpose where a new dynasty enthralls. I don't know about you,
Holy
fellas.
shit.
Kool-Aid, baby. I don't know if he wrote that himself, but I want some Kool-Aid now.
Are you getting
Dylan
pumped
Raiola.
up?
I am pumped up. Let me break it down for you guys. So, number one quarterback in the 2024 class. He is also the number 8th player ranked. He's been 2. I've seen him 2. I've seen him 4, 6, you name it. He's also, by the way, a legacy player. His dad, Dominic Raiola, played for Nebraska from 98 to 2000. Drafted by the Detroit Lions, and he was a Remington Trophy Award winner. Not only that, but he joins four other legacy players that are signing on the 2024 class. And I just think Nebraska is one of those schools that loves their legacy players. It's just what we do. We love signing
It worked out
people.
well for their legacy coach.
Yes. So I really like this pick. I'm a little worried because of what Nebraska's gone through in the past with players and just the overall bad luck that we've had the last 10 years. Plus, as we were talking about before the show, he kind of hops around a lot, kind of like a college kid, which he is a college kid. But
he's a high school kid.
Yeah.
Well, sure. He will. As of tomorrow, he may not be, though. He'll be out the door. So should be signing his letter of intent tomorrow, I believe. That starts at 7 a.m. We'll find out. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he hops and pulls a freaking trick play and goes somewhere else. But overall, Nebraska Nation is buzzing. That's all they've been talking about. It's all over social media. It's all over the radios. We're all excited, and 98% of us are drinking the Kool-Aid, and the others are just afraid that he's going to dip. But overall, I'm excited, baby. Go Big Red.
Go Big Red, huh?
AJ. Hey, I'm so tired of talking about this dude. He changes schools. Like, my wife changes outfits, man. Like, this is, like you even said, Brandon, we may wake up tomorrow and he has a whole nother school. I think it's a great pickup for Nebraska, but I'm so tired of talking about this dude. I want to go see him perform, but with this transfer portal stuff, let's see next year. He might be at another school, and so I think it's a huge pickup for Nebraska, but I want to see this dude perform before I talk any more about this guy.
Pump those brakes. Let's wait and see what happens. Yeah.
Pump those brakes, huh?
Pump them.
All right, let's move on, man. Let's talk about this next game. Sorry, we're having a little bit of some errors going on behind the scenes here, but we're working through it. Let's talk about UCLA versus Boise State. This game, man. Bruins take down the Broncos 35-22. Boise State jumped out to a 16-7 lead in the first half, but man, they lost control after that. Chip and his boys came out and scored 28 unanswered. QB Ethan Garbers and running back Hardens grabbed 2 tutties apiece. Wide receiver Michael Sturdivant had himself a day. 4 receptions, 142 yards, and a tutty himself. What you got in this game, Beve?
Hey, man, first I want to start out with that Walmart wireless plan, man. That's got us going. It's got us back, man. We can't get this shit on air. But going back to UCLA, Garbers, he was the man. As soon as he entered, it was all of a sudden points after points after points. He was dunking on them, man. Maybe Dante Moore saw the writing on the wall and saw Garbers was the real deal, and then he triggered the transfer, man. I don't know. Just something I'd throw out to the duck, man. But Garber, when he came in, it gave the Bruins the win. I think he's solidified himself as QB1 now for the future. And Sturdivant may have had a great day, but he needs to give a big hug to Garber, man, because he was putting that ball on the money. I mean, dropping it in the pocket like no one else could touch it. And way downfield, too. Those bombs were amazing. Like, as he was going out of bounds, no one else could have caught the ball. No one else could have got a touch on it. He just hit them in stride. And the momentum for them joining the Big Ten is huge. The next game that they will play as a Bruin will be as a member of the Big Ten Conference. So in my eyes, this is the first team from the West Coast that is now a Big Ten team.
Oh, man. Welcome to the Big Ten, Bruins.
It's crazy.
Proud to have you, man. Jamie, what you got on this game, man?
Man, like Buckeye Steve said, Garber's balled out. Like, he looked like QB1. I don't even know if Chip Kelly knows what a QB1 is anymore, the way he switches quarterbacks around over there. And that might be a reason old Dante left, man. They were rotating all 3 of those guys all season. And, I just want to see a decision there. And I think Garber's made it easy for next season. Like, he showed what it was on a big stage, going and getting the job done. I think they ended with a statement win to get that done. It ended on a good note. I'm just tired of seeing this whole carousel of quarterbacks that UCLA likes to play with.
I mean, I think every quarterback is on the carousel. We'll get on that a little bit later, but man, there's quarterbacks moving
Ain't wrong there.
everywhere. Brandon, you got anything to add on this game?
No, I didn't watch it.
What's going on?
I didn't watch the game, dude.
Oh, come on, man.
I was
That's
out
all right.
that day.
The game come on late that happened on the West Coast, right?
I know. And I'm a West
Now,
Coast.
what was you doing? All right, Brandon, what was you doing instead?
What was I doing?
You don't even know what day it was.
No, we were out of town. I really wanted to catch the game. That was actually the one game that I really wanted to watch, but it was so damn late at night, I forgot what time it was on. So I know.
I was watching it with my friends, and people were like, "Who the hell wants to watch this game anyway?" I was like, "I do. I absolutely want to watch this game."
Who said? Hey, you need to smack that friend.
Yeah, I did.
Out of all the matchups so far, like this was the matchup to watch. You know,
for sure,
the biggest teams playing.
Yeah. And it's not like some small, like it's Boise State, man.
No.
In their defense, they were wasted, so they might not have realized that it was actually a good game.
True.
All right, we'll move on, man. It's time for us to pay some bills. Well, let's go ahead and get ourselves a commercial in. Time for a little Danos. We got to get a little bit more spicy. We're off to a slow start, but we're coming.
Spice that up.
The joint.
Yum, yum, get you some. Very good. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some. Yum, yum, get you some.
Dano Seasoning, food's favorite flavor.
Yum, yum, get you some.
I'm Joe Burrito, your favorite burrito. Whoa, whoa.
Joe, we
Hey.
all know you're the best.
What?
But you can always do better.
What you got?
Try the new Dano's Hot Chipotle.
Hey. Ooh, that's spicy. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum, get you some.
Yeah, man, we got us some. We're all spiced up and ready to go. It's time to talk about the Big Ten backers recruiting roundup, man. 7 Big Ten teams in the top 25. Little weird, UCLA and Michigan State outside of the top 50. That's kind of surprising to me. If you're UCLA, how do you end up outside the top 40? That's just how I feel. But what about my Badgers, man? My Badgers got these guys in the top 25. Let's go, Luke Fickell. You bring a new era to Wisconsin football. But Ohio State and Oregon, the O's of the Big Ten, are leading the conference in recruiting. No surprise there. You know Oregon and Ohio State can recruit, but can Ohio State hold on to those recruits? Been some wild times in Columbus lately. Washington, though, spectacular season, and they're all the way back at 38 in recruiting. After this year, that's kind of surprising. But Beve, talk to me about Ohio State.
Hey, before we get started, I think you messed up. You left one Big Ten team out, Florida State. They're coming to the Big Ten. It's just a matter of time, baby. You take a deeper dive into Florida State, you know they're coming. They're just waiting on some moves to be made. Once you see what North Carolina does when they announce, then the Big Ten will go after Florida State. Just wait. It's coming. They're just trying not to look like the bad guy and break up another conference in the ACC. They did the same thing pretty much with the Pac-12. But back to recruiting. Ohio State lost a running back commitment late to Miami. Jordan Lyle, 4-star from Fort Lauderdale, St. Thomas Aquinas, which is kind of a pipeline to Ohio State, but a pipeline everywhere, really. Also, Eric Houston, he visited Clemson and now Bama recently. And there's noise of a flip coming to Bama. And I don't know if there's any confirmation that it actually happened, but Bama boards are fairly confident that 5-star D lineman is going to flip.
What's up with the Buckeyes, man? They can't close.
Yeah, they haven't been able to close, but they start off so strong that they stay in the top 4, top 2 every year anyway. So it's not a huge deal, but they need to learn to close. And it might be it's a first-time head coach. You know, he's got 3 years under his belt. It's going to take some time for him to learn how to close, maybe. He gets the ball rolling, and now he just needs to fine-tune it a little bit, tweak it, and then those classes will be, maybe number one.
All right,
But-
man. Let's move to the other O.
Let's see what those Oregon Ducks got.
Talk about those Ducks. Jamie, talk about these Ducks.
Man, we've been on a tear. Our focus lately has been on the transfer portal. We've been pulling in our guys there, but you want to talk about straight up recruiting? You better guard your gates because we're coming for Ohio State's wide receiver McMillan right now. They're pushing hard. I hear it's about a 50-50 right now. He's already a commit to Ohio State, but it sounds like he might be ready to turn. Sounds kind of like more of the same for what's going on there. I hear Jericho Johnson is pretty much a guaranteed Duck at this point. He's been crystal balled. He's one of the top remaining defensive linemen left out there, uncommitted. Yeah, I mean, as far as recruiting goes, it's kind of just holding on to our own. We got one of our top linebackers who took a visit over to Husker territory over there. I think Dylan Williams. So he's taken a couple visits lately. I'm thinking it was Texas and Nebraska is where he went, but they feel pretty good about him. They're not scared about losing him, but you see visits like that right before signing day, you kind of already see the writing on the wall there. And so we haven't lost a lot. We lost a little bit in our receiving room, but that's just because we brought in so strong last year in the transfer portal. So we've lost a little. It seems like we're gaining it back. Are we talking about transfer portal yet, or are we just staying with
We're staying in recruiting right now.
All right. I'm going to back off for this one then and let you take over there, AJ.
All right, we're going to hit a chat real quick. TJ, the man from 10 yards.
What's up, TJ?
Out. Got a
What
great
up?
show. He says, what's up? What's up, man? How we doing? Glad to hear from you. But Beve, man, Penn State is the next team down the list, sitting at number 13 in the top 25 of recruiting. Break down Penn State recruiting for me.
I'm actually starting to be a little impressed with Penn State's recruiting. They've had consecutive years where they've been up there with the big dogs. And prior to that, they were like 24th, I believe, in 2021. Now 6th in 2022, 14th in 2023, and so far they're 14th in 2024. It's highlighted by a tight end, Luke Reynolds, running back Quentin Martin. I think he's from Pennsylvania, and a quarterback, Ethan Grunkmeyer, another quarterback from Ohio, 4-star. So they got the pieces, especially on offense. They're recruiting well. And they got that defensive coordinator, which we'll talk about later, that's coming in to help out with those defensive recruits.
They're doing it up. They're picking up work. All right, man.
So right now they're third in the Big Ten in recruiting, which is
Not
awesome.
bad. That's usually where they kind of sit. They usually do pretty good recruiting. It's on the field where they can't beat the top two to get outside that third place in the Big Ten. It's about to get even harder because you got Oregon coming to town, and boy, oh boy, and Washington for that matter. Where's Penn State going to sit after these guys join the conference? But let's talk about Michigan. Brandon's going to talk about the Michigan recruiting class. Kind of get at that a little bit.
So, last summer, Michigan had 28 recruits already committed, and they were actually, believe it or not, in the top 6 instead of 16th, which they are at now, because everybody else picked up a bunch of others. So obviously they dropped. It's not to me. Nothing's really too exciting about Michigan right now. They have 4 players inside the top 150, which still isn't bad. A lot of schools wish they could have that. They're looking at right now 4-star quarterback Jaden Davis. He's committed. Brady Pricecorn, who is an offensive tackle or a tight end, I believe, and then Andrew Sprague. So basically, I know we're not talking about the portal just yet, but I think what their main thing is, right, they just want to win now because I'm pretty sure they have no idea if McCarthy's going to go to the NFL to play, or if Harbaugh's going to go to the NFL. So they're really just kind of like win now more than prepare for the future. So,
Man, we're getting some comments from
Right on,
Alabama.
man. Let's hit the comments before we move on
Where?
to another team. Well, let's hit them, man. Dominic says, the backers are back and we are back. We are in the house. Spencer, my boy Spencer. Markalicious says, "Roll Tide," and he wants to mention that Lord Saban, the
Lord
GOAT,
Saban.
is in the house, and he also wants to add in that Michigan going to get manhandled by Alabama.
So we were talking.
We got a serious question. I missed the beginning of the show. Sorry. Do you think Dylan Raiola going to Nebraska will have a Manning effect, meaning better recruits will start walking to Nebraska?
I'll take this one. I mean, it's definitely going to have that effect where people know who their quarterback is. I think the only hard part about it is, like we talked about earlier, is this boy, he's a boy right now, has been very inconsistent with where he wants to be. And so I just saw the money talks right there. If money starts talking somewhere else, he might start walking. And so do they have money left over after Raiola, in Nebraska? I don't know. I think it brings in, based off his name, they got the quarterback. That brings in offensive talent. That brings in defensive talent. But I don't know.
I was going another way with the money. Show me the money. Show me what's going to happen. And I mean, show me on the field. Like, you make your money on the field as a football player, and I want him to show me what he's going to do now. And that's what's going to energize the Nebraska Cornhuskers, man. If he starts winning games, those games where they're down by 3 points, they start winning them by 4, that's when it gets energized. He's got that name now that maybe some people will jump on the bandwagon a little bit before, but it's not until those wins start happening, start piling up. And I believe Rule is the type of guy that maybe can rein someone like that in. He's got that mindset, that developmental mentality that he can get a program from point A to point Z, really. At the end of the game, if you can turn around Baylor, you can turn around anyone.
Yeah.
Spencer, he's on here saying that Nebraska is still Nebraska, and he's going to be in the portal.
I mean, that's a good bet. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to put money on it, maybe.
And he also wants to remind me that I'm his main piece. Love you too, man. I love you too. I don't mind being your main piece.
Hey, speaking of that, back up. I want to see that sweatshirt you're wearing, AJ. Oh, there we go. Giving the Buckeyes some love.
Of course.
That's right.
Man. We got a little Husker love in the house. Go Huskers.
There we go.
Hope. Look at that hope, man.
Oh, Christian.
#1 quarterback. There's some hope for you for sure. Drink the Roll-Aid, man. Drink the Roll-Aid. All right, let's get back on topic here. Let's talk about Southern California, about South Carolina. Let's talk about SC. Beve, break down this recruiting class for me.
Hey, man. Most of it's the transfer.
Jamie.
Most of it's the transfer portal, but I was going to wing it.
Jamie, hit that one for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, they brought in a 17th ranked class like you talked about. That's pretty subpar for the facilities, the coaching, what they have there. And you also look at like what's happened recently. All their big recruits where they've brought from big classes are walking out. I know we're not trying to talk transfer portal right now, but it's hard to look at their class and put respect on it when stuff's going on. People are leaving, and they're starting to lose some recruits. I've heard little rumblings that people are poaching USC commits right now. And so, yeah, I'd keep an eye out. People aren't hot to trot about USC, which is crazy. They've been a powerhouse for a long time. We're talking about Nebraska over here, Brandon, but we're not talking about USC, who's got the beautiful beaches, to go to college there, and they're sitting a little ways back there. So we'll see what happens. I don't got a lot of faith there.
Yeah, same. But we'll talk about it. We're going to move on, man. We're going to talk about Nebraska recruiting, and Brandon's going to get on this. Before we do, though, we got a Nebraska comment. TJ, Matt Rule stopped at both Temple and Baylor, had double-digit wins in the second season. Looks like he's trying to build his class to do that again. Brandon, talk to us about this recruiting class for Nebraska.
Well, as I was saying before, guys, there's 5 legacy signings here. Dylan Raiola, of course, his dad and his uncle coaching. So I'm almost guaranteeing you that's why if you guys saw old Donnie got a nice, beautiful raise a little bit ago. Yeah. There's also a kid from Omaha. His dad played for the Huskers, was on the 96 squad, running back Damon Benning. He's also
Thanks, Dominique.
He was also our color analyst. right alongside our play-by-play guy. He's a really good athlete, 3-star recruit. They've gotten a lot of Nebraska players. That's kind of they're wanting to stick at home base, but they're also trying to build through Texas, which is where Matt Rule is really familiar with since he had stops in Baylor. He also wants to hit Florida and California, but I do remember him saying that he said there's going to be some surprises tomorrow. What that is, I have no idea. I've been on Twitter damn near all day, and I can't seem to find out what he's hinting at. So expect lots of big news come Thursday when you guys have your show. So
There we go. We need it.
Oh, we need
Hey,
some
man.
news. We're all about the news, man. We'll bring it.
I got
you
a question
however
for
you
y'all.
hear it.
At what point in recruiting classes are you considered a developmental program? Like, what do you have to be ranked in your recruiting classes, like averaging, to be a developmental program or just all boys on board recruiting program?
I'd say probably outside the top 30. I don't know, maybe.
Outside the top 30, all right?
Just the way they huddle talent. So that talent definitely gets huddled at the top. So if you're outside the top 15, there's a major difference. Outside of the top
That's
10,
what I think.
there's a major
That's what I
difference.
was saying. 15 is kind of where I was set.
15 is in my brain as like, yo, you're just stacking boys on boys and you're going to go win. After that, it's like, you got to develop a little bit to make it. Like, if you want a national title, if you want to be a national title contending team, you got to be in the top 15 at least.
Let's talk about a developmental program. My program, the Badgers. But before we do, Greg says, "What's up? What's up, Greg? How we doing?"
What up, Greg?
what
We got a
up?
blank comment. Top 30. Steven.
There's
Tuma
my boy.
agrees with me. Top 30.
That's my boy.
Anyways,
That's
man.
Nebraska's way of thinking.
Constant.
Top 30.
Luke
Yeah.
Fickle got these Badgers in the top 25 in recruiting since I can't remember when. I'm going to talk to you about the D's. I'm talking about Dylan Johnson, 4-star defensive lineman. Dylan Jones, of course, a running back. What else was Wisconsin have? Of course, we're bringing in those running backs. But, man, we got what we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 4-star players. We're stacking on the defensive line. We're stacking on the offensive line. We're doing this Badger styles. Luke Fickle's got us on the way back. I'm excited for this recruiting class. 20 hard commits. Let's see what tomorrow brings. I'm ready for it. Man.
Damn.
On Wisconsin, baby. How about that?
That sounded good. I think there was a few Wisconsin players that got swiped up by Penn State, and I believe one by Ohio State. So they lost some in-state talent too.
That's
which
okay.
is
We went out to Hawaii. Got a 4-star edge. It's fine. All
right.
Wisconsin, we'll be all right.
better bring it.
This is Luke Fickle now. We don't have to just recruit the state of Wisconsin. We're good. We good.
All right. Is he getting any of those Ohio players?
No big Ohio players. We're hitting Illinois. We're hitting Hawaii. We're hitting Maryland. There's some good prospects out there in Maryland. Of course, we're going to hit a little bit of Wisconsin. We're kind of in around the surrounding area.
You got it, man.
Let's talk about this overall. Ohio State's number 2 in the Big Ten. Number 2 overall. Number 1 in the Big Ten. Number 2 overall. Oregon's number 2 in the Big Ten. Number 8 overall. Penn State, 13 in the nation. 3rd in the Big Ten. Michigan, 16th in the nation. 4th in the Big Ten. SC, 17th, 5th in the Big Ten. And then Nebraska, 22 in the nation. 6th in the Big Ten. And then Wisconsin, 7th in the Big Ten. 24 overall. Kind of crazy. Getting all these Big Ten talents, doing some good stuff in recruiting. But let's talk about the bad, man. UCLA, 66.
Yeah,
What
that's
is
bad.
happening
But
there?
it's kind of normal par for UCLA, isn't it?
Chip Kelly's pretty smart, like we talked about before. He can usually find talent in those 3-star guys, but I just think there's been a lot of dysfunction lately, and kind of questions is like, should we get rid of Chip Kelly because of the season? So like, it's just tough. I mean, you see like a guy like Dante Moore who went there and like just did not fit their system. So you get worried about the system because he runs a different style system than most places, and so he's not your fun coach. He's more of your Bill Belichick, like, don't talk to me, I'm the coach kind of guy than your best friend, So I don't expect him out there on the recruiting trail acting like he's anybody's best friend. You're not going to see him dancing in videos like they do in LSU. Like, it's not.
It better not.
That's not him. And so I think he loses in some of that more traditional style of like, I'm the coach, you're the player mentality.
All right, let's hit a few more comments, and then we're going to move on to some coaching hires.
What about what we're impressed by? What about Rutgers, man, up there at 34?
I mean, yeah, Rutgers at
That is
34,
impressive.
34, Iowa at 33, Purdue at 32, man, flirting with the
Yeah.
top 25.
Purdue, yeah, that was big.
I think you're starting to see some of this Big Ten TV contract money start to implement itself into Big Ten recruiting, which is a
And then
need.
and then Washington being at 38, man.
After the
That's
year
the year they're having, wow.
Yeah, you're talking about
I mean-
potentially playing and winning a national championship, and they're only sitting at 38. That's a shock.
That should be a top 10 recruiting class right now.
they have one
Right?
of the best
I mean-
coaches in the nation right now. Like, there's no worries right there. Like, they're going to the Big Ten. Like, that's a big program. Like, I don't see a lot of
It's
negative
stable.
UW right now. Like, it looks like a place where you'd absolutely want to commit, and they produce top, especially if you're on the offensive side. They've proven that they're one of the best offenses in the nation. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely a little weird, but yeah, Rutgers, Iowa,
And
Purdue?
Indiana's made a big jump. They were 86 last year, and now they're like 56. So
That's true.
big
know,
jump,
moving on
but
up.
still bad.
moving on up. But Signetti, hopefully he can get a turnaround. He's got a short little window to work with. But yeah, let's hit some comments, man. Christian says Nebraska could have been a 10-win season, 5 1-possession losses. That is Nebraska.
I agree.
Style. Ain't no
Yeah.
lie.
That's Nebraska
Been there
football
for
right
years.
there.
Yep.
Oregon could be undefeated. Like, it's we lost 2 3-point games,
Fast.
but I just think that it's the coulda, shoulda, wouldas. It's tough to live in those moments, but they definitely are a better team than their record stated, and there is some promise there.
Just
Throwing
win,
the
baby.
bones. I'm throwing the bones, Greg. Don't worry about it. We're throwing bones.
We're not going to give them any bones this time, are we?
Steven says Michigan, Ohio State stacked. You better throw Oregon in there. They're stacked. Nebraska's deploying. Man, everybody's starting to get stacked. And it says, let's see, Christian, Nebraska should have recruited Steve Leonard. He has been a beast at our high school.
Yes, sir. Whoever that dude is, he's the man.
It says Penn State losing their recruiting spunk. I don't know. I feel like they're right.
I don't think
They
so.
really are. They're
I
kind of
think
right
they're,
there.
yeah. I mean, they're actually better than they had been in years past.
I agree.
Yeah,
TJ
13 is
says
not
Indiana's new staff has some very good recruiters. They do. They just got to get the work. Short window, man.
They've got a lot of people transferring in already, too.
All right, let's move on, man. We can talk about recruiting forever. We've been on it for a hot minute already.
Let's
talk
go.
about some of these hires inside the Big Ten. Steve, you called this one. I'll let you talk about it.
Man, Tom Allen to Penn State, I think that is a great hire. I mean, they already started their kind of Bama approach as having the rehab for coaches, the fired coaches, especially defensive coordinators. It worked out well for Manny Diaz, so why not with Allen? 2016, he was a defensive coordinator at Indiana. That D was giving up 12.3 points more a game than they did when he took over. So he's shown that he can do it. He got promoted awfully quick because his coach at the time got fired and went on over to Ohio State to be the offensive coordinator. And the defense gradually got worse, but I think that was just a product of him not focusing on the D. I think it will be an awesome, awesome opportunity to kind of maintain that defensive top 5 in the nation approach. He's a great motivator. And he's going to start to work with a top 15 in the nation talent pool, which he never had at Indiana. So it should be interesting to see.
Every time I think of Tom Allen, I think of boy, that poor defense, man. Every time they look over to change the planes, they used to get able to look at Manny Diaz, who moved on to Duke. Now they got to look at Tom Allen. Ooh, demotivating for sure.
Manny Diaz had more hair gel than anyone I've ever seen in my life. So, maybe Penn State's saving a little money. They're able to pay Allen a little more because they don't have to buy all that hair gel. I don't know.
You gotta pat it down. But anyways, we're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about Iowa real quick. Kirk Ferentz has interviewed 3 potential offensive coordinators, but he's not releasing who they are or who he's gonna hire until after the bowl season. What you got on that, Brandon?
Well, the 3
He's going to rehire his son, isn't he?
No.
Yeah, bring him back.
I mean, as an O-line coach, yeah, maybe, but not as an OC.
They should. Absolutely.
Yeah,
that's a great hire.
Great line coach, but terrible.
Or
play
tight end
call.
coach.
Except pretty sure Ferentz has most of the hands on the leash with that one. But anyway, so Scott Frost, Scott Frost, Iowa. I don't know. That just doesn't sound right to me. Anyway.
Hey, it worked for Nebraska.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see
Did
about
good
that.
things for Oregon.
Yeah, he was a great OC out
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
he was. I mean, that's one thing a lot of people don't realize is that, like, hey, just because you coached offense or defense doesn't mean you could be a great head coach. But you never know. But so there's Scott Frost, Paul Christ, great. I loved him, by the way. AJ, big shout out to Paul Christ. I really liked him. Now he's with Texas as a special assistant. And then you got big bad Joe Philbin, who Miami Dolphin fans absolutely despise this guy, except for us Green Bay Packer fans, we absolutely love this dude because he did win a Super Bowl championship with us. Yes, sir. He started he was an assistant at Iowa from 99 to 02. Went to Green Bay 03 to 11, won that Super Bowl in 2011, became Miami's head coach. I believe he was on Hard Knocks for a season. And then he went back to Green Bay as an interim head coach, Dallas for 2 years as an O-line coach, and now he's the current analyst of Ohio State. I think Philbin would be a great guy because he knows how Ferentz runs his ship. He's been there before. He actually started right when Kirk got on board with Iowa. So personally, between Christ and Philbin, I think those two are perfect. And I bet you money it's going to be one of those two guys.
I would go Scott Frost all the way.
Oh,
my personal opinion.
I think coaching-wise, he might actually be the best. I like Christ, but man, he kind of dull when it comes to offensive play. It's like, no thanks.
He's dull just talking to.
If you're going to shake
post-game
the
interviews,
bring
are
in
like,
Frost, man. Bring in Frost. Shake it up. That's what I
Well,
think.
guys, you're going to have to run this play a little harder, okay?
That's the Paul way. All right, so USC hires defensive coordinator Anton Lynn from UCLA. They went across town to grab a great DC. Jamie, talk to me about this USC hire.
Huge pickup for USC. You look at what they've been able to do over at UCLA on defense, where presumably known as an offensive team, if really most of their wins came because of their defense. They had the 11th best defense in all of college football as far as yards go, the number 2 rushing defense because they don't run in the Pac-12. I'm going to put that out there. But as far as like Pac-12 defense, this was stats-wise the best defense in all of the Pac-12. And so you go and pull that from your crosstown rival that you're also going to the Big Ten with, and you take their defensive coordinator. Maybe that's a good reason why UCLA is struggling at recruiting over there, and USC is doing a little bit better than they are. But I think that was a huge thing for them. It's exactly what they needed. You look at, like, what's the weak spot of USC? Defense. If he can fix it, then they'll be a powerhouse for the future. But, I mean, the guy spent like 8 years in the NFL coaching, position coaching, went on, spent, I think, only a year. He's only been a year in college football as the UCLA defensive coordinator, and he's already starting to make a name for himself. So I like the hire. I think it was a home run.
Oh, absolute great hire.
I
want it too.
I think Riley, he was looking across the field, and he saw that absolute beat down UCLA gave him in the Coliseum on their home turf, and was like, I got to have that dude. So he's like, give me some bucks, and I'll throw it to him. And the dude was like, yeah, I can stay in my house. I can commute. No big deal. This is an easy transition. I'm going to go across town and make more money. Let's
A
do it.
plus.
Sign me up.
Yeah, that Lauatu hit on Caleb Williams in that game. Woo-hoo, boy, good night.
Yeah, drawn up nicely.
It was. Anyways, we're gonna say goodbye to Brandon, and we're gonna move on to the portal.
Good night,
Appreciate
guys.
you, Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate you joining us.
You're welcome, guys. Go Big Red. Have a good night.
Yeah, have a
Go
good night.
Big Red. GBR.
Is that like chewing gum? What's he talking about?
Yeah, it is Big Red. It's not a school.
Extra spicy.
Little cinnamon
We're going to
flavor.
talk about the transfer portal.
Oh,
We're going to move on.
bringing in the portal.
Big Ten transfer portal update. Washington, Wisconsin, USC, and UCLA all in the top 25. My Badgers in the top 25 and recruiting and in transfer portal. But anyways, I think I actually missed one. Oregon moved on up too with Dante Moore getting added. But man, Will Rogers officially commits to Washington. What do you think about that, Jamie?
Hey, I think that's a big time pickup. He wasn't the first quarterback I was looking at. He comes with a lot of experience. It's something the Ducks and the Huskies both love right now is getting that experienced quarterback to come in, take over. They're looking for wins right now. He's got the second most passing yards in SEC history. Like he brings over that experience with him, and if it wasn't for getting injured this year, like he'd be, he's a good pickup. I don't think it's an A plus, but I definitely think it's A minus B plus pickup. He doesn't shoot fireworks, but I like it.
His first year, he had like 1,600 yards or something. I'm just speaking off the top of my head. Then he had 4,000 some yards. Then he had 3,900 or 600. And then this year, he got injured, obviously, but he only had 1,600 yards. I think he was developing well in the Mike Leach system. He just needs to go in another system now. And that's why he transferred. He saw the writing on the wall. I believe he'll fit in really well there. If they have an offensive line like they have this year, they can keep him off of his back and, being able to be mobile and not being touched. That's what I respected so much about Washington this year was just how clean the pocket was always for the Phoenix. But I'm getting off topic, so reel me in. Let's go. Who's the next one?
You talking about USC? They had a 5-star quarterback hit the portal. What you got on that, Beve?
He hasn't said where he's going. Leach A. Nelson, we talked about it earlier. All these people are leaving USC. Something's going on there. Whether it was a lot of them were defensive players too, in addition to some of these offensive players. But they changed over coordinators, so that's probably some of it. I know Tackett Curtis was one of them, the 4-star linebacker from LSU. I don't believe he's announced where he's going, and neither has Nelson. So we're going to see. That's one of the top quarterbacks left. But it's weird for a quarterback, especially a 5-star quarterback, to transfer after their freshman year. I mean, he was just getting developed, and in a system like Riley has, that's where you want to be. So it really kind of perplexing that he left.
Yeah,
I want to talk about. Oh,
Sorry
go
about
ahead.
that, AJ. I just you see him and it's like he's supposed to be the guy. Caleb Williams is leaving. He's the guy. He went and sat.
The heir apparent.
Yeah, the heir apparent. You knew that was the plan. Like he goes and sits 1 year, and then okay, now's your time. You're the big stud coming on. I don't know what's going on in USC. I'm curious to find out, but it's interesting.
I mean, some of those 5-stars could be flops.
I'm going to talk to you about Julian Fleming. We're going to move on. We're already behind.
Well, I got one more thing. I got to add.
Oh man,
Maybe Riley has just had so many transfer quarterbacks. He's not used to developing someone from the start. Everyone's come in with experience, and they've all been Heisman contenders right away. He's never had to deal with it from the scratch.
Caleb Williams was his guy, but he did transfer. But he was with him at Oklahoma. But
Hey, that's true. I mean, we can give him that.
I'm giving him that.
you got to give him Caleb Williams. But anyways,
Yeah.
Julian Fleming, crystal ball to Penn State, Ohio State to Penn State, former 5-star wide receiver, looking to go back home. Kind of surprised he hit the portal. That's a pretty good landing spot for him. Pretty good landing spot for Penn State as well.
Penn State needed wide receivers, but also Drew Aller wasn't able to get to the ball, the wide receivers, as well as you'd like him to be able to do it as a 5-star. It's his freshman year. He's going to be a sophomore. Or no, it was his sophomore year. He's going to be a junior. A year of starting under his belt. Maybe he'll be able to develop that passing game a little bit more now.
Ohio State linebacker just transferred to West Virginia per Dylan Vance. But anyways, we're going to say one more comment here. Cody says, evening, boys. What's
What up?
up, Cody? If you guys are interested in an SEC podcast, Golden Boot, little Arkansas, LSU love, check these guys out, man. They do an amazing job. Great episode. We kind of learn from them. They've been a great help. Go check them out.
Yeah, tell us about Tackett Curtis, Golden Boot. Let's go.
And then old TJ says, Steve, with the bad clock management. Yep.
Yeah, that's right. I don't give a fuck about the clock.
All right, Jamie, talk to me about Will Howard headed to SC.
Yeah, I mean, they're in desperate need of a quarterback right now. And I think Will Howard's not at the top of everybody's list. He's a seasoned guy that can get some stuff done. I'm not in love with the pickup, but I think they need somebody. I like the guy out of Texas, Malik. What's that? The guy out of Texas. I was kind of hoping
Malik Murphy.
Malik Murphy, yeah. I was drawing a blank there, and I kind of thought he was going to go to USC with Nelson out, and yeah, I thought there was a chance there, but Will Howard Will. Sorry about that. Yeah, Will Howard. I'm getting all the Wills mixed up. Will Rogers.
Too many Wills. Will Rogers.
Yeah.
Willie Wonka.
Willie Nelson. Come on. Yeah,
Willie
Wonka's
Wonka.
big in theaters right now. But no, we'll see. I'm gonna leave that grade out there and see what happens this year. I don't know what's going on at USC. It's kind of a big question mark altogether.
Talua Tungabaloa is out on the bowl game. He's not playing. He's preparing for the NFL. Maryland found their new quarterback. Beve, tell me who that is.
MJ Morris really has not produced many results out of NC State. Kind of a big nothing burger, really, to me. I mean, he said he wants to go there because he thinks that the system will develop him more and he'll be able to thrive in that offense. But, I mean, it's pedestrian, maybe not even pedestrian stats so far. So we'll see. I don't know. I think that's more of a development.
He's got some shoes to fill.
Time will tell. He's got little groundwork. He can throw away picks at the end of the game if he wants to.
Well, let's talk about some big Ducks, man. Ducks making big moves in the quarterback room. Dylan Gabriel and Dante Moore. What
Stacked.
is that impact on Oregon, man? 2 top quarterbacks coming in. Jamie, you got to talk about this because you are the Duck.
Man, let's just start out. Dylan Gabriel, I'm so excited he's going to be an Oregon Duck. Like, he just fits the mold right off the bat. You get that guy. He's got 1 year left. We talk about seasoned vets. He is as seasoned as it gets. And I'm pretty excited about him. I think he's a Heisman candidate right off the jump. Then you go and look at Dante Moore. There's some people in this chat, some people in this room that might have said that will never happen. He's going to Michigan. And you know what? Like, I said, there's a chance. I think that there's a chance here. And I don't count Oregon recruiting out. I felt like Dante Moore was going to make a grown-up decision. I thought he matured a little bit his time at UCLA where he was ready to learn underneath somebody like Dylan Gabriel and be able to sit for a year. That showed maturity right there, that he wasn't just going to try to start somewhere. He decided, I'm going to go where Bo Nix went and excelled at. And now Dylan Gabriel and try to fit that formula. They just made themselves one of the best quarterback rooms in the whole nation by 2 transfer portal quarterbacks there. I mean, I also want to hit, you look at, they're not just pulling in quarterbacks. They stole an offensive lineman from Indiana. Let me pull his name up real quick.
The whole line left Indiana. Almost the entire offensive line left Indiana.
They're gone. But Matthew Bedford, who I think he started like 38 games, he's played every position, at least 8 games total. Big-time starter, ready to go in day one. Oregon's line, they placed 4 starters last year and still made it to the award for one of the top offensive linemen or offensive lines in all of college football. Only allowed 2 sacks last year with 4 new offensive linemen. They know what they're doing with offensive linemen there. Quarterback, offensive line, you get those 2 things set, good offense. And so I'm pretty excited about what's to come at Oregon. It's definitely got me fired up.
Oh, these
Early
Ducks don't
prediction.
play no games.
Early prediction for me. I think the Ducks are going to win the Big Ten first year in it.
I think so too. To me, I think they're going to be the favorite for sure. You might.
They should be.
It depends, like what Ohio State has coming back. If you can get a lot of those guys to come back and not forgo the draft, then maybe Ohio State will be out there. But it's definitely looking like Oregon's Big Ten. I mean, no doubt.
Yeah.
I'm curious who Ohio State's going to have starting quarterbacks. Gabriel being at Oregon, I think they got the best quarterback starting in all the Big Ten. So I don't know. I think it's going to leave a lot up to what happens at Ohio State.
We'll find out quick.
Yeah,
we will. But I still think it's the Ducks. Ducks Big Ten next year. Mark it down. Put it on paper. Put your money in. Get those bets ready. But anyways, it's time to pay some bills, guys. And then we'll try to get out of this next couple of segments pretty quickly because we don't like to go over an hour, but we're going to flirt with that for sure.
Flirt with it.
Sound the alarms. Something monstrously merry is coming to town. Introducing Bones Coffee's newest batch. Inspired by the giddy ghouls of Disney Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Nice work, Bones Caddy. Rich premium coffee infused with frighteningly festive flavors. The Pumpkin King, Santa Jack, Frog's Breath, Rough Weather, and Mudslide Boogie. Can't make decisions by yourself? Order them all. Bones also makes a perfectly marvelous gift for everyone on your nice list.
And your naughty list.
Click the link to get these hauntingly holly jolly flavors delivered right to your door. And it's not just for holidays. Bones has coffee concoctions for all 365 days of the year. Bones Coffee and Disney Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. It's terrifyingly tasty. This year, Bones Coffee will be yours!
Oh boy, we got that coffee over. Everybody's boning for it. Get yourself some Bones Coffee. It's good stuff, man. Delicious.
Drink it up.
Drink it up. But anyways, we're back. It's time to trim the landscape of college football. We're going to talk about things outside of the Big Ten. And first up, we're going to talk about Cal versus Texas Tech. Cal would jump out to a 14-7 lead in the first quarter and would be shut out for the rest of the game. First quarter came alive. Rest of the game, history. Taj Brooks, the running back for Texas Tech, had 22 carries, 98 yards, and a touchdown, along with wide receiver who grabbed 7 balls, 106 yards, and a tutty himself. The quarterback, Fernando Mendoza, must have thought it was Christmas for Cal because he threw up 3 gifts to that defense, handing them over like Santa Claus at the mall, man. What do y'all got about this game? Hit me with it.
I mean, there's not much to talk about with Cal. They came out and they started off really well and just decided, hey, might as well not play the rest of this game. And just, I mean, if I could read off the possessions to you and you would know how bad of a game it was for them in the second half. It was a monstrosity. It was terrible. Listen to this. All right, they come out in the second half. Interception, punt, turnover on downs, fumble, interception, punt. They punted to end the game. They were losing by 21 points, and they punted to end the game. They just don't give a shit. I got nothing else to say.
There's not much to say about this game. We're trying to move quick right now, and this
let's
is a
go.
game where we can absolutely move quick on. Yeah, this was a garbage game.
Yeah.
Cowboys, you did well. Way to end the season. Let's go.
Turnovers. Texas Tech took advantage. Whoop Cal's ass. Moving on. All right. Oregon State and Washington State regain the rights to the Pac-12. Jamie, talk to me about this for a quick second.
It makes sense. I mean, you don't get to run away from your spouse and the kids and take the house with you, and that's what they got. They got gifted, Oregon State, Washington State. They got the house. Okay, you can't take the name rights with you. You can't take the money with you. It's Oregon and Washington State. They're the loyal one right there, and they get to remain in control of that. And it only makes sense. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely true. I got nothing to add. It absolutely makes sense. We just figured we'd throw it out there. All right, let's talk about the transfer portal. We're going to talk about outside of the Big Ten. Ole Miss, man.
Holy
they are
shit.
destroying the transfer portal. Number 1 player and number 1 defensive tackle, Walter Nolan, crystal ball to go there. They already signed the number 1 and number 2 defensive ends, the number 2 wide receiver, the number 4 cornerback. Lane Kiffin is loading up. And boy, look at that defensive line haul. Watch out.
Watch out. Oh man. Is too bad it's not the old days, or he'd get froze. Like Hugh Freeze, man. Handing out too much money, doing too much stupid shit, but he's paying out money to get that class, man.
Jamie's got
bills.
He's not only handing out money, he's getting money himself. He just got a contract extension announced today. I think it's good through 2028. And part of that is because of his recruiting. It's not because of his winning. He's doing okay in the SEC, but he's not a big time program yet. I think he gets these recruits. He might be. I want you to hold your breath and count Oregon out like you did with Dante Moore on Nolan. He just announced that his top 2 teams are Ole Miss and Oregon, and that was I think while we were on the show. So they say the Ducks aren't out yet. So don't count them out until they're out. That's all I got to say. They're good recruiters. If we can get that.
That would be huge.
But I mean, whoever gets him, he's a game changer.
TJ says Lane Train is rolling in the portal. Even without Nolan, they're rolling.
Dude,
but if they grab him too,
they're killing it.
Yeah,
they're killing it.
Lane Kiffin already was like top 6, I think. He was top 10 in salaries for NCAA coaches, which is insane.
Man, they're not historically a powerhouse football team, but they are starting to turn that around, man. Their boosters are investing. They're investing in the portal. They're recruiting well. They're playing well. I mean, they had a decent year, especially for them. These guys are going to keep growing and growing, man. I'm proud of Ole Miss. I'm not really a Lane Kiffin fan, but, man, he's doing work. I can't deny it, even if I don't like the man. But, Steve, Arkansas, they got some issues, man. What happened with Arkansas?
I don't really know. I have no idea. What is happening with Arkansas? You tell me.
Well, they lost their running back. Now KJ Jefferson is on the move. He's hitting the portal. Obviously, he doesn't have a landing spot yet, but KJ Jefferson is out. Arkansas, man, they got some issues. Are they going to have to move on from their coach? Can they rebound and get things right before this season?
Have we heard of where KJ Jefferson is going?
No, he hasn't released it. He hasn't talked about exactly where he's going. He's just in the portal. He's swimming around.
Because that's a big name.
Pretty big name. Anyways, let's talk about big names. With big names, man, Jamie, give me an update. Who are some of the big guys and big fries left out there in this Happy Meal?
Honestly, I was looking at. I don't have a ton of big names going on right now. We're kind of waiting. We're kind of hearing, what's going on, and a lot of the big names are starting to get spoken for. There's a couple smart ones. AJ, you and I have talked off the books how, I hope these boys take their time. I hope that they can do this in silence. Some of these guys are making that quick decision, and then we see them next year in the transfer portal. I want them to make the right decision, do what's right for them, go to the right team, go to the right program. And I think some of these big names are actually doing that. They're taking that time. There's always going to be smoke and mirrors, rumors swirling, but I think some of these big names are actually taking the time. I think, people thought Walter Nolan right away gonna get it done. He's making his decision, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a big time. It's
just thinking about the quarterbacks. You still have Cam Ward. Haven't heard anything about where he's going yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big one. Malik.
I've heard. Was that?
We heard rumors. I mean, and it was rumors everywhere. Like I heard Washington. I heard Ohio State. I heard Oregon at one point too.
I've heard Florida State's a big.
Florida
name
State's
there.
the new one. Yeah.
I mean them. I've heard two names about Florida State. It's DJ Uiagalelei and Cam Ward is kind of who they're looking at. I think
and we talked
their choice of the two.
Sure. And we talked earlier, Malik Murphy and Malice Nelson are the other ones. And you mentioned DJ. So those are the quarterbacks left. And I think those are the biggest names to talk about, really. What's left on the board, other than Walter Nolan, he's huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a huge one.
Literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt. He's the big fish. Let's get into these quickies, though. We got the Big Ten backers quickies, man. We're going to talk about these other bowl games that happened. We're going to go down the list. We're each going to grab a game. But Georgia Southern versus Ohio. Bobcats get wild on the Eagles. Turnovers and win huge. 41-21.
That quarterback for Georgia Southern, Davis Brim, he led the nation in interceptions, and turns out he still does. He threw 3 again. Yeah.
Talked about
19
this
on the
before,
year.
man.
All right, Howard and Florida A&M. Florida A&M quarterback Jeremy Musa tosses a 38-yard touchdown to wide receiver Shareed to complete the comeback, winning 30-26.
Next up, you got Jacksonville State versus Louisiana. Jacksonville State's kicker, Garrison Ripa, he ripped one through Louisiana with a walk-off field goal there, winning 34-31.
Miami of Ohio versus App State. In Iowa fashion, App State wins a close one, 13-9.
Lots of turnovers in that game, 11 in a downpour. 5 of them lost fumbles. Yeah. All right, the New Mexico State Aggies versus Fresno State. The Bulldogs bullied those Aggies 37-10.
Western Kentucky versus Old Dominion. Western Kentucky took a 28-0 lead early. Or no, sorry, Old Dominion did.
Old Dominion, yeah.
Old Dominion, 28-0 lead early. Western Kentucky storms back, wins in overtime, 38-35.
That's impressive, man.
That's crazy.
Good.
That's a game you absolutely
Good on those Hilltoppers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sunbelt Syndicate, man. If you guys want a little Sunbelt action, these guys are awesome. He says GSU didn't wake up until the third quarter. They woke up a little too late.
Yeah, after
And then
5
he said,
turnovers.
Mountaineers, baby, because he's an App State fan. They get the dub. And he also
Man, that was a
added,
nasty game.
You blew it, missed field goal, and a 2 blocked. Or blocked, and 2 blocked.
And 2 blocked, yeah.
Yeah, my
That's
bad. Right
9
there,
points.
called reading, left to right,
Yeah.
top to bottom. Excuse me, I'm a retard.
We got some games going on. Hey, we got an update for the Roadrunners versus Marshall. Marshall was up 14-0 last time we got an update.
I got UTSA there, 21-17, leading Marshall.
Okay, then they're
Almost
making a comeback.
halftime.
So the Roadrunners. So yeah, make sure y'all tune into this. Make sure you watch that game. We got another game on Thursday. You got South Florida versus Syracuse. Boca Raton Bowl, 8 p.m. on ESPN. But that is all we got. Beve, we got one more comment here. The Golden Boot gents in the house. I'm calling USF big over Syracuse. What up, Chris? Once again, man, Golden Boot, awesome show. You want a little SEC love? You want a LSU Arkansas podcast? These are your guys, man. They help us out all the time. We try to help them out when we can. We learned a lot from them. Absolute awesome show. Go check them out.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it, Chris.
We love to jump on there, too, for
Yeah,
sure.
we do. We go on there from time to time. Pennington versus McCown at QB in this one now. That's good quarterback battle right there. Anyways, Beef, get us on out of here. That's our
All right,
show.
Big
Ten
Big Ten backers. Thanks for joining us. God bless. Take care. Thanks, Jamie, for coming on. Jamie the Duck is one of us, man.
Happy to be
mainstay,
here.
man. This is your 3 boys moving forward. All right, y'all. Thanks again for coming in. Love y'all.
God bless.
See ya.